All right, let's get going. Hi, everyone. My name is JJ Moran. I am joined here with Liam Houghton, the executive producer, co-director, and creator of Survivor Roysan. And I am his co-director this season for Survivor Roysan Northfield Farm. You're currently watching the podcast series that we're going to do to follow up each episode of Northfield Farm. So this is going to be really exciting. It's kind of a new journey. This is going to be a weird little conversation that we have after each episode. It's going to be a little bit of like behind the scenes stuff, a little bit of just like background on how the show got made, maybe any little things that got edited out that are worth mentioning. We'll bring up stories. Who knows? We might have other either crew members or potentially cast members on in later episodes. But for right now, it's just Liam and I just having a conversation about the first episode of this season. This is an incredibly special place, episode 1. Hi, Liam. You want to say hello to everybody?
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me. I guess jumping right in, it's like, if anyone asks me why I'm not hosting this series anymore, I will just show them that intro. That was great, JJ. It's better than anything I could have ever done. So that's why you are now the host of Survivor Roysan.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Well, let's actually talk about that for a second. So this is season 6, right? This is the 6th time we've done this?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And so for those watching who are uninitiated to Survivor Roysan, I have been a contestant on 2 of the former seasons that we've done, Survivor New Hampshire, and then the most recent season, season 5, which I think when you made it was presumed to be the final season of this thing that we do. And so
every season is the final season.
Every season is the final season, and
this is the final season.
this is but no, I remember. So yeah, I did Survivor New Hampshire as a contestant, and I got booted real early. And I actually don't want to spoil it in case anybody goes back and watches, but Liam was very gracious and allowed me to play again in Merrimack Madness. So then when those episodes came out back in 2021, I was watching them, as were the other contestants and the other people who are fans online and everything. And we were just, I was like really blown away with how far the show had come, because again, I had been a contestant on it before, and then every other season that I was not a contestant, I was one of the camera operators, and I was helping Liam organize footage. And I work in the video production space. That's what I do, and so I work professionally with a lot of these sorts of things, cameras and editing equipment and laptops and media management and all this stuff. So I was helping out in any way that I could in the seasons that I wasn't on screen. And so then Liam was very nice and said, "Hey, I'll throw you a bone and I'll let you play another season because you were so bad that first time you played." And so anyways, those episodes were coming out a few years ago. I was watching them and I was like, this can't be the last season. This is way too good. We have to do another one. So anyway, so I reached out to Liam and I said, "Hey, if you're interested in doing another one," because this is kind of his brainchild, I said I would be more than willing to take a larger role in the production behind it. So yeah. So anyway, so that's kind of how I got here. Liam, anything I'm missing?
No, I would go all the way back. The initial concept of doing one of these LRGs, the initial idea was to have JJ host, but we didn't have enough bodies, and he filled in and played, and then the rest was history. And now we're back to where we started. It was always meant to be, if you will.
That's very true. And so I kind of got into it a second ago. It probably bears worth mentioning that I was not alone when I would do like the seasons that I was not on camera as a contestant, and I would jump back. I would be the lead camera operator. I was generally the one filming confessionals. And again, when I wasn't filming, I was getting all the footage sorted out behind the scenes. But that's actually not uncommon for us. If you catch anybody holding a camera in the background of any shots this season, you might recognize them from one of the many other seasons, because we're kind of a tight-knit community of people. And I think every member of the crew, maybe safer, I think Sarah and Haley. I think there was literally only 2 people on the crew this year who were not former contestants. And everybody, the best part about this crew is that they do it for free. We all do this for free. This is just a big fun passion project. Liam came up with this idea in college, and it started as like a fun weekend for college students, that we could go out and be on this farm and play this game and kind of like honor this tradition. Survivor, we really love it. Like, praise up to the Survivor gods. It's all beautiful for us. Like, we love it. And so we were like, let's make it. Each year it just got bigger and bigger, and everybody who came in just to play then eventually was like, I want to come back, and even if I'm just holding a camera, I'd be fine with that. And so this year we have a great crew. Liam, again, if you want to speak to the crew at all.
No, the crew's great. All close friends.
Yep.
It's a passion project. It's for the love of it. It's terrible when you're out there, but the second you leave, you want to go back. And
yeah,
the only reason we have any close to the quality of content that we do have is because everyone is willing to sell out and commit to it. And I appreciate every second everyone's ever worked on this thing.
It's it is awesome. And it's funny, like what you just said about like this, it's brutal when you're out there, but it is one of these things where it's like, we're waking up early, we're running, especially when you're on the crew. It's just like it's just madness from the second we start until Sunday. We used to go Friday nights to Sunday afternoons, and then for the last, I think, 3 seasons, including this one, it's been Thursday nights to Sunday afternoon. And so we got that extra day in, which was huge. Give us a little extra time, a little more breathing room for tribals and for setting up big challenges, which actually I want to get to in a second. But so it's an all hands thing. It takes a village, and everybody really commits to it. And then it is one of these funny things that you really feel like you're going through hell. And then Monday, I remember last year, Monday morning, sitting at my office just with this deep sense of depression, just being like, this is so much more boring and not fun. And like, where are the games, and where's the backstabbing, and where's the lies and the deceit and the the fun and the camaraderie and the drinks and everything. It's a great time. So anyways, we love it. Okay, cool. I'm looking at my little action items that things we wanted to talk about. Before I want to talk about casting and the people that we have on the cast this season. But first, let's start actually just really quickly with, kind of mentioned that this is, I think the idea of this season was to do things bigger, grander, better. If you have watched older seasons of ours, you might notice that the camera quality is better. We rented cameras. We tried to get more. We could always use more microphones and better audio equipment on the ground, but like, we're trying to make everything like look better. And then part of that also, though, was bigger challenges and cooler, more, I don't want to say expensive, but definitely like more well thought out challenges, bigger. And also kind of to the point of former contestants, we can talk about Mike Casey, who is a former winner actually of Survivor, Roysan. And Liam.
Yeah, no, Mike, former player, is a passion for woodworking, and have been able to utilize that. And you saw it in full display on that first challenge. I think every single piece of that challenge was created by Mike, and it was great. A little side note too, the Pelican word has been a thorn in our side all the way through production, how to pronounce it. What is the word? What does it actually mean? And 10 seconds after the tree mail is read, let's shout out to Isaiah, knowing exactly what the word is and what we're going to be doing at that challenge. Palanquin, nice. That was just a little inside joke for us on production.
What kills me too about that is that he gets it. Like, we had, to Liam's point, we had been in production meetings for like over a year talking about the design of the palanquin, and this was what was going on. Isaiah says it so just effortlessly. Like, he just goes, "Ooh, palanquin," and again, I'm like, am I adding a keen? I never. And so when the challenge is going on, I have to say the word like 3 or 4 times. And I think every time I say it, it comes out of my mouth just a little differently. And it's always a little like, you have to grab the palanquin, like a little reserved as it's coming out of the mouth. So, because I'm like, but yeah, no. So again, just like circling back, Mike Casey, huge shout out to him. You'll see no spoilers on like what we have planned, other than it's awesome. And there are a few really cool big set pieces that Mike helped us make, but I don't think any larger than the one that came in that first episode with all the hanging puzzle pieces. He designed the puzzle itself. He designed the structures that they hung from, and then again the palanquins that the contestants were carried on. Actually, okay, so I think the original intention of this podcast was to talk about like little fun tidbits and stuff that happened throughout the episode. First episode is going to be a little weird. This is just us talking about kind of a bigger picture of Survivor Roysan. But now that we are talking about this, the knots on this episode. If you did just watch the episode, which you should, this is a spoiler. This is not spoiler free. We're going to talk about the episodes in these podcasts, but we had to edit down the time that they worked on the knots. Is that correct? That's fair to say?
Yeah, I'd say by a 10th of the time it took. It was scary there in production. Yeah. That whole challenge might have been blown, but
there was a lot of camera operators just like looking up from the camcorders that they had, and just everybody like making eye contact on the crew, being like, because it was just everyone. I mean, like, and I remember too, it was like getting back to a point, because basically what happened was we had tied the puzzle pieces together the night before with those knots, and then they sat out in the grass overnight, and so they got wet when the dew, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, when the dew did the thing, and it got the knots all soaking wet, and somehow that just, it just made it harder for them to come undone. And so, yeah, I mean, it was brutal there for a second. It was really scary. To your point, we were like wondering if we were going to have to step in, and then eventually somebody got it. So there's that moment where I think it's Darren gets a knot undone, and he whips it on the ground, and I think I yell out like, Gibson throws a knot down emphatically on the ground. It was a well-deserved throw to the ground, because they had been working on this for a while, and so when they got those off, it was. But I mean, it was everything, because even Karen has a hard time getting the one, the hoisted one down first, the very first one. And I mean, the way I'm calling it too, as it's happening live, I'm just like, oh, these guys are screwing up the knot. What's wrong with it? But then when they were working on the ones on the table, then it was very obvious that it was like, oh, these got harder overnight. And so anyway, so
we screwed up. Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah. Well, we made it harder.
I don't think it affected any result either.
No, genuinely. Well, because Pittman had the lead going into the puzzle anyways, and they did a great job. They stayed organized the whole time. They communicated really well the whole time. We're confirming this is a spoiler. This is not spoiler free. Leah, one of her fatal flaws was that she said, I am going, she, and you have it in the little huddle before they all break. She says, she's like, does anyone not want to carry the thing, or not want to be on because I'd hang back and do the puzzle. She like is very vocally says it. And then that ultimately is, I think, one of the things that led to her getting booted on the first episode. Is, which classic first episode in any Survivor series is that, like, you don't want to be the person that says you're going to crush it at the challenge and then underperform. And that's kind of what happened. They were pretty unorganized, and they were trying to put the puzzle piece together on the table without actually putting it in the frame. And I think that kind of hurt them. And then when they started to do that, I think they were only doing that because Pittman was doing well. And so then they were just working from behind. It never worked out. And so anyway, so that was the end of that. But okay, so that's talk about big challenges. Let's talk about, I just mentioned Leah and mentioned her to be the first boot, RIP. But let's talk about casting actually a little bit, because if any of you who are watching this now enjoy the rest of the season and all the other episodes that we put out, a huge part of that obviously goes to the crew that we just mentioned, but we could not have done it without this awesome group of really passionate players who came out and were ready to get in the trenches and fight this season.
Yeah, this cast is great. It's definitely the most wide net that we cast during casting, and I think it paid off. Every single person has their own special little traits, and they all feed off each other in an interesting, fun way.
Totally. I mean, like it going through the edit over the last but particularly in the last few months as we get close to the release date, it's so cool to just see all the different personalities like really pop on camera because we got to know them in person that weekend. And I want to talk a little bit about like when they all arrived in just a second. But yeah, I mean, like it was from we actually made them go through a casting process, like a very not like rigorous. We didn't like put them through but like we had calls with all of them, and it was funny too because like it wasn't just Liam and I. It was like we mentioned Mike Casey who helped build the challenges. He was one of the producers this season. Another former contestant, Steven DeSillo, Jacob Fantastis. Like these are all guys who wanted to help out. They were on the crew. They were former contestants, and they were invited to the casting calls to kind of like we would just grill them and talk a little bit about like what they thought the experience might look like, what they were looking for in this kind of experience, and like ask them the obvious questions like what do you think your strengths are and stuff like that. But it was funny because there was a few times where it was like there would be like 5 of us on the call, and then like I'm looking at like Jen, like one person who's a stranger, and then 5 guys who we all been hanging out putting on this like weird survivor game and are on a farm in New Hampshire for the last decade, and then they would just be thrown into the mix with us. And so right from the jump, though, I mean, all these guys that joined us were great.
Yeah, I think the fact that you're willing to come out to a remote piece of land, off the beaten path,
and really off the beaten path for some of these people.
Yeah, like this was a long distance for, I'd say half past.
If you could measure travel distance per season, these guys I think put the most amount of miles in. I will say Carl probably from Merrimack Madness probably put in more miles than any one contestant coming all the way up from the West Coast last time around. But no, I mean we had so many people from the tri-state area come up from New Jersey and New York, and it's not easy, like if you don't have especially like a few of these contestants I'm a New York City resident. That's where I'm filming out of right now. You're on, if you don't have a car, which most of us don't, you're on a bus or a train or a plane, and it's not like Northfield Farm has a big transit hub. Like you get there and then you got to find a way to get to the farm. And so anyways, so they really did. They went off the beaten path, and they were awesome. And again, just before we move on, just really quickly, I mean, just I can't say enough to just how passionate they all were. Every one of these people like showed up, and they just had like the best, all of them, like first boot Leah through everyone else that comes, like everyone just showed up with a really great attitude. They just wanted to have fun. I'm thinking of a few people like particularly that just like got so like emotionally invested immediately, and that's what you need. Like for this to be good, we want people who are going to show up and actually be like, this isn't a DIY survivor. This is like the real thing. And so anyways, and that's what they all came with that mentality, and it was great.
My battery's down to 5%. I don't know how that happened. It started at 50. So
okay, well, I was gonna ask you just one question, and then I think we're actually at the 20-minute mark. Anyways, I don't want to make these too long. Do you remember what's like a one special, not special, but like what's a one memory that you have from that first day? Contestants are showing up or beforehand or anything?
I think that's it. Every season it's that excitement of first car pulls in, signs in, second car, third car, and then they're all there, and I give them a little speech of, okay, let's go. And I sent them on in the 2 groups, and it was ready, set, action, and we were on until Sunday at 4:00. You really enter this bubble, and you don't leave until we're done, and it's fun. I'm excited to talk about it and share it with the world.
Same. Similarly, my favorite part from that day was I got to do all of their confessionals. So when they showed up, they would all sit down and do their first confessionals before we divide them into the tribes yet. And I made sure to be dressed in full like production blacks. I had like a belt on, a utility belt on, gaff tape, and I had my camera and all this stuff. And I like wanted to really sell the idea that I was like, you are looking at like Mr. Head of Production, not the host of the show. So you'll see me behind the camera all the time. And then I kind of disappeared. We got them, put them in a different part of the, around the bend on the farm. And then, so when I come around on that tractor, in the first scene of the episode, their reactions are very real. They did not know who was going to be hosting. Liam also told them that right at the last minute, like in his little speech to them, he just said, like, he was like, hey, I've always done this in the past, but I am actually not your host this year. And then he sent them on their way. They didn't really know what to expect. And then 5-10 minutes later, I'm pulling around the bend, riding a big orange tractor, thanks to Liam's dad, actually. The shout out to Michael Houghton.
Yeah, shout out.
And actually, real shout out to Michael Houghton, because
he lets us do this.
He lets us do this
and
thing
Nancy.
on his farm. And Nancy, shout out. Yeah. So anyways, all right. I think this has been a smashing success, this first episode. Please join us not only for these other podcasts, but all of the episodes that are going to be coming out this season. We will be releasing episodes every Wednesday this summer. So I think it's like through the second week of September, we're going to be releasing episodes. You can expect them every Wednesday. We're planning on on 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays, or 8 p.m. 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Wednesday nights. That's where you can find them here on YouTube. And then we'll be following up the next day with these behind the seats podcasts. So if you enjoyed the episodes themselves, you can hear a little bit about how they got made. And so anyways, from the whole crew, myself, thank you very much. And
yes, thank you.
Liam,
stay
have
tuned.
A nice night. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
It's going to be fun.
All right. Oh, and all 4 episodes are out at this point, correct?
Yeah. Go watch.
Okay. All right, great.
Yeah.
Go watch all 4 episodes, not just the first one. They should all be out at this point. So anyways, episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4 of Survivor Roysan Northfield Farm is live.
And we'll have
right now.
Second episode of this covering
tomorrow
those
night.
3 episodes. Yep.
Yeah. We're gonna recap all the next 3 episodes. We're just condense it to one. But this was the special one for the first episode, so we'll do this. All right. Now that's it. Thank you so much. Good night.
Bye.